Look, man, I'd love to jump into the book. And on kind of a surface level, this concept is something I've seen before and I've come up across. I remember reading an interview with Beyonce and her talking about this Sasha Fierce character. And that's one of the first times I heard someone really admit it on her level that wasn't like a hip hop rapper that had an alter ego. Then for all my favorite hip hop guys, like Ice-T, I was a big fan of, Ice Cube, they all had these names that I'm guessing were also alter egos. And I had David Goggins in here, who's got his alter ego, which is creatively named Goggins, right? Yeah. And for him, you know, most people don't understand Dave, you know, was this kind of out of shape, dejected, you know, self-described loser of a fat man. Yeah. And when he turned into Goggins, that allowed him to channel into these bigger things. Yeah. But at the same time, we're never taught this is okay as kids, right? It's okay when you're a little kid to play around. I mean, my son Caden had a Batman shirt on this morning when I left him, you know, and I didn't even think about that. Yeah. So it's something we kind of know, but then when we grow up, we're not allowed to do it, but you can do it if you're an entertainer somehow. Yeah. And you worked your whole life one-on-one with all of these athletes and top-level people. So maybe you can explain why this is not only just an interesting concept, but it's a crucial concept. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to your point about kids, it's, we do this naturally as young children. We play around with, you know, what can I do if I jump off of the sofa as Superman or Batman? How far can I go? Or we're in our front driveway and we're bouncing the ball, or we're playing on a sport in a park, and you know it's like, okay, well, and kids do this. They say, okay, well, who are you going to be? And I'm going to be Wayne Gretzky, or I'm going to be Michael Jordan, or like whatever the sport is, or I'll be Lionel Messi and you be Cristiano Ronaldo. And it's because we go to that place in our head of what could I do if I wasn't whatever you perceive yourself as right now? Because we all have this sometimes destructive narrative on what we think that we can and cannot do. But when we ask ourselves the question, but what could I do if I was Brian Rose and I could show up in that confident way that he does, with so many different, you know, big personalities sitting across from him? What if I could like own that state? Because I mean, you do, like you show up in a very calm, confident manner, which is brilliant, right? So other people can see that. Oh, I wish I had that. Well, you know, we can do that, but we do it naturally as kids. Right. So I want to break this down from a scientific perspective for people too, because a big part of the pursuit of my company is that we always back things up with scientific research, not just experience and anecdote.
Right. Okay. And this is what makes you different: practical experience and scientific research. Yeah. Because we'll get into this later. You're a bit frustrated with people that put out information that isn't based on one-on-one practical coaching and also real science.
That's right.
And these days, since publishing's so easy, there's a lot of ideas floating around out there which you don't buy into.
Yeah, well, that's the frustrating thing, is that you know, we live in an influencer culture where people like to put out cotton candy, bubble gum, and popsicle stuff. It tastes sweet. We like the idea. I wish that, you know, because again, selling hope, that's very easy. But selling meat and potatoes and kale, which is what I do, that doesn't look attractive. But I can tell you what, it satiates the appetite for whatever the ambition is that you have, because it's going to digest and it's going to give you the nutrients that you need in order to make the change happen. And so getting back to this concept though, of why do children do this so well, specifically between the ages of 1 and 7? The reason that they do it so well is because they're working in what's called the theta brainwave state, which is the creative imagination state, really, just to use a simple term.
You get it in floating chambers and things like that, right? Or deep meditation, you can get into theta sometimes?
Exactly. Okay. So there's 4 levels. There's delta, theta, alpha, and beta. Beta is like someone that could be watching us right now and they're like sort of judging and reasoning, trying to come to terms, okay, well, what's this guy saying and stuff? And we do this, we judge and we reason. That's the beta, kind of like, and then when we get into real focus, that's typically alpha brainwave state, when you're kind of starting to get real focus. You're not in flow state. Right. You're really focused on something. Theta is the flow state and the zone state, where literally that's where all of your capabilities start flowing out of you, unfettered and without the friction of the judgment and the worry of what other people are thinking of you. So you're very much locked into the present and the process. So children do that from 1 to 7. When you take a look at the fastest growth of any period in our lives when we're developing skills and understanding, that's the age, right? I mean, a lot of people say that by the age of 8, that's typically where your personality is kind of set.
Is that true?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not true.
Okay.
Because that would think that we're just baked.
Right.
That's a fixed mindset, as Carol Dweck would call it, or growth mindset is that no, we are a constantly unraveling self that can develop. Why? Because of neuroplasticity. We can learn new things. And that makes sense to many. Like when you actually break it down, people are like, yeah, I have learned things after 8. And
right.
some of those things did change how I see the world and also change my personality. So, but I will say this.
There's still a lot happening.
There's a lot of stuff that's very baked at 8. So the work that you do after 8 needs more effort to crack through that for some people.
Yeah.
Anyway, so kids play with that idea to step into new roles and play around and whatnot. And the theta brain, we say for any parent, I've got 3 little ones under the age of 6 or 6 and under. If you've ever had to yell at them 7 times to come to the dinner table and they haven't come and you're getting frustrated, just know it's because they're actually in the state that you wish you could get in when you're working. They're just caught in the moment.
Right.
So typically coming over and tapping them on the shoulder, you've got to do a state change with them. That's a better thing. Okay. So anyways, we do this as kids, and then what happens? Our frontal lobe starts to develop. We develop judgment reasoning skills. And we also start to look to the future more, because now we've got the ability to now forecast, use forethought, because that skill is now developing. And I take a look at someone who's 13. I think you probably did it too. You look at someone who's older than you, like 3 years old, and I'm like, man, I can't wait till I'm 13, because you see what they're able to do now, or they're bigger or taller, or they're faster or stronger, and you're like, I can't wait till I'm 13 too. Mm-hmm. And so we all start now living into the future. And I can't wait till I'm 15, 17. And then you look at what adults do, and they're like, oh, as I grow older, apparently I get more serious, and I get more pragmatic, and I get more practical. And so all those things that I was doing as a kid were childish. Let's leave those things alone. And then we move away from those things, those traits, those qualities, those abilities that actually helped us develop really rapidly, find ourselves more quickly, because we perceive it as being childish, and yet they were the very things that helped you do difficult things and challenging things, like learn how to ride a bike, learn to associate with other people, a parent, an adult, someone else in society.